اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome again to our daily reminder. And Alhamdulillah, we are going through the month of Ramadan and we are kind of zooming through it, sometimes literally. So Alhamdulillah, we are now going into what I would say like into the rhythm of Ramadan. You know, the rhythm of Ramadan is like, in the beginning it's like, it's ajib, it's weird, it's different, it's, you know, the whole concept is different in terms of trying to change our routines. But now, you know, we're picking up the pace. We are like in a rhythm now. And inshallah, as we go, forward, once we're in the rhythm, then we are able to kind of increase or kind of speed up things a bit more. Continuing with the theme of the Qur'an Sharif, I'm going through the book of Sheikh Mullah Ali Al-Qari rahmatullah alayh, which is a very small book on the virtues of the Quran, 40 narrations of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding the virtues, the benefits and the greatness of the Holy Quran. So today there are two narrations which I wanted to cover, but they're both kind of similar, so I'll just recite one variation of that one. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل المؤمن الذي يقرأ القرآن مثل الأترجة ريحها طيب وطعمها طيب ومثل المؤمن الذي لا يقرأ القرآن كمثل التمرة طعمها طيب ولا ريح لها ومثل الفاجر الذي يقرأ القرآن كمثل الريحانة ريحها طيب وطعمها مر ومثل الفاجر الذي لا يقرأ القرآن كمثل حنظلة طعمها مر ولا ريح لها. In another narration, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he is talking. It's a similar. The wording is same, but the word munafiq is replaced. Is used instead of fajr. So a fajr is one who is an open sinner, which is the one I narrated to you. But in other narrations, it talks about وَمَثَلُ الْمُنَافِقِ الَّذِي لَا يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنَ كَمَثَلِ حَنْظَلَةٍ طَعْمُهَا مُرٌّ وَلَا رِيحَ لَهَا. And this narration concludes وَمَثَلُ الْجَلِيسِ الصَّالِحِ كَمَثَلِ صَاحِبِ الْمِسْكِ إِنْ لَمْ يُصِبْكَ مِنْهُ شَيْءٌ أَصَابَكَ مِنْ رِيحِهِ وَمَثَلُ جَلِيسِ السُّوءِ كَمَثَلِ صَاحِبِ الْكِيرِ إِنْ لَمْ يُصِبْكَ مِنْ سَوَادِهِ أَصَابَكَ مِنْ دُخَانِهِ رواه Abu Dawud. So this narration covers two different topics. First one is talking about the Quran. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying that the believer who recites the Quran, the one who recites, the believer, so he's a Muslim, he's a believer, he's a mu'min, and he recites the Quran, his example is like the citron fruit. So the citron fruit, it is like, it's like an orange, but it's a bit different. It smells really nice, has a beautiful fragrance. You smell it and it smells nice. And when you taste it, it's very sweet. So the smell is very good. The fruit smells nice. And the sustenance, the inside of it, what's inside is also beautiful and it's sweet tasting and sweet smelling. And the Prophet ﷺ, then he goes on to other examples. So I'll just go through one by one. So this example of the believer being like this fruit. What is being alluded to is that when you read the Quran, you are a believer. So externally you are good, you look good. There is a benefit in terms of what you look like on the external elements of it. So there's a smell to you. Someone who does something good, there is a smell. Yeah? Even though you might not have a bath for a week, if you're doing good work, there is a certain spiritual smell. There is a spiritual aura around you. And also in you internally, you are also beautiful in terms of you have light inside you because of your recitation of the Qur'an. Allama Iqbal rahmatullah alayhi, he says that your association, your connection with the Qur'an makes you a believer. अगर तुसां दावा करने हो कि असां मोमिन हां ते तुसां ना जरा ए दावा आया ए उस वक्त तक हकीकी दावा नहीं हो सकना जब तक कि तुसां ना ताल्लुक तुसां ना एक रिश्ता कुरान शरीफ नाल कायम नहीं होना अगर तुसां ना एक रिश्ता कायम है कुरान शरीफ नाल ते तुसां मोमिन होने ना दावा कर सकने हो और मोमिन होने ना मतलब है कि तुसां और कुरान ने दरमियान कोई फासला नहीं है. There is no distance between you and Quran. So when you claim to be a believer, then you must have an affinity, an intimacy, a connection with the Holy Quran. So one of the, we have seen in our life, this thing, what the Prophet ﷺ is alluding to here is the smell that you have. Or there's an appearance, there is something about you when you are connected with the Quran. And in our lifetime, there is someone that we know, I know personally, who was doing hifz at the time. So he was doing hifz, and he'd finished his Quran hifz, and he was doing his manzil. So he's doing his revision. So he's going through the manzil of the Quran, which is like the revision and getting it perfect. So he was someone who was always reading the Quran. So this guy, he would always read the Quran. That's the only thing he would do. He wouldn't read any books. He didn't know anything about anything. He was not into any media, into any kind of trend. The only thing that he was occupied with was the Quran. If you went to his room any time of the day, you open his bedroom and he'll be reading the Quran. So one time he met a sheikh. So the sheikh came to a mosque and he met this young boy. And he didn't know, the sheikh didn't know him. He doesn't know who this kid is. So later on, when the sheikh is speaking to someone else, they say that, the sheikh comments, this is like the sheikh's meeting this child for the first time, this young boy for the first time. And he says that, he must recite the Quran a lot. I can see the Quran with him. This is something like, it's not like a story that's from books or anything. This is like a reality in this era, in this day and age, in the same country we're living in, that someone is able, a sheikh who has perception, who can see that this person reads the Quran without even meeting that person ever in their life before. And that is proof that when you read the Quran, there's a certain light around you. There is something about you. There's something about you. You have a certain smell, a spiritual smell, a spiritual aura, a spiritual light. And this is what the Quran does. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he goes on to say that a believer who does not read the Quran, so who's not engaged with the Quran. So basically most of us, me and most of the people out there, this is our group. The Prophet is talking about our group, those of us who claim to be believers, but we don't have that much of a connection with the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ says that person is like a date. He's like a khajur. खजूरा खाने ने दिहाड़े ना आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाने हैं कि जरा बंदा कुरान शरीफ ईमान है उसको अल्लाह की मन्ना रसूल सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की मन्ना लेकिन कुरान में उसने कोई इतना ताल्लुक नहीं है कुरान नहीं पढ़ना उसने मिसाल इस तरह है कि जिस तरह खजूर जड़ी है उसने खुशबू नहीं होनी है लेकिन उसका जरा स्वाद है ना बड़ा मीठा होना. So a date, it doesn't have a smell, right? So like, when next time when you eat dates, like in the evening today, put them next to your nose, see if you can smell anything. They don't smell. But when you taste them, they are very beautiful. So what that means is that you have belief, but you don't have that smell. There isn't that beautiful fragrance of the Quran reciter. So the iman that you have in your heart, that is you have sustenance, you have something inside your heart. So your inner side is light, is beautiful, is sweet, but your outer aura, it does not have a smell. Then the Prophet ﷺ talks about the hypocrite, the munafiq. So these are people who recite the Quran with the hypocrites. Now, hypocrites are of two types. Okay? One is a person who's a hypocrite who says that he believes in Islam, believes in Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. These are the hypocrites that in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and they were there that they would outwardly confess to be Muslims, but inwardly they were working against Muslims and they did not believe. They were just doing it out of convenience. So that's one type of hypocrite. And the other type of hypocrite, which I would say, maybe not you guys out there, but personally I would say I probably would fall into that category. That the type of hypocrite who claims to be something, but he really isn't. So we claim to be imams and maulvis and hafizes and sheikhs and peers, but we know in ourselves what we really are. We know what the condition of our heart is. We know what the condition of our relationship with Allah Ta'ala is. So this is the second category of hypocrites. That we put like a facade out there in front of people, but internally we know what we are like. May Allah rectify our inner state. So the Prophet ﷺ is talking about the hypocrite who recites the Qur'an. He's like basil, right? And basil, if you've ever got some fresh basil, if you ever, use it in your garden, or if you see it in the market, try and pick it up and smell it. It smells. You can smell it from far away. Yeah, but when you taste it, it's like a very bland taste. It doesn't have a taste to it. So this is the hypocrite that, even though this person who might not be believing or he might be not engaging with the Quran sincerely, but still he will get some benefit from the Quran. So basically, he will look the part. And this is something that we see quite a lot. That we're not going into any judgment, but this is what the Prophet ﷺ alluded to, and this is what he taught us, that there will come a time when people will read the Quran, they will recite the Quran, beautiful voices, beautiful qiraat, but the Quran will not go lower than their throats. Basically, it will not go. The message of the Quran will not go down their throat, meaning it will not go and penetrate into their heart. So their reading will be very nice. So there are people who will read the Quran, but there is no good intention or no good manners, or there is something missing. So this is, and also someone who is a fajr. A fajr is someone who sins openly. Okay? So there are people who are sinful. So all of us are sinful. We all make mistakes. But a fajr is the worst sinner. A fajr is like, he is the really, he's not what you would say a kafir. We don't say people become kafir through their actions, because iman is to do with belief with your heart. But a fajr is someone who doesn't really care. Okay, I'm Muslim, so what? I'll do what I like. And in front of people, commits a sin. And this happens a lot. Some people say, oh, I'm not being a hypocrite, I'm just doing what I like doing. But being a Muslim and being an open sinner is the worst kind of sinner. So the Prophet ﷺ is talking about those people not those people who are weak and who commit a mistake and we do things wrong, but we still must engage with the Quran. But those people who don't really care and they continue openly to do things and they show off, they post online, I did this, I went here and went on the weekend and I did this and did that. That is what we call, that person is called a fajr. Now this doesn't mean that if we are not perfect, so you don't have to be perfect to open the Quran. So many people don't open the Quran because they feel embarrassed. Because of what they do or what mistakes they make, what their weakness is. So they feel embarrassed to open the Quran, that I'm impure, I don't want to touch the Quran, I've done something wrong and I feel really embarrassed, and how dare I touch something so beautiful, so holy, when I do this such a thing. Wrong. Don't think like that. That's wrong. That's a trick. That's a devil's trick. That's shaitani trick, ego trick. The Quran is our friend. The Quran is our companion. The Quran is someone that we can, confess to, we can share our secrets with. So when we're reading the Quran, so next time when we open the Quran, treat it like a friend. And this friend that I'm talking to and I'm reading is slowly, hopefully purifying me. And through the blessings of the recitation, through the blessings of the Quran, it doesn't have to be full para. full Quran. No, just a page, half a page. Just open the Quran and, like try and just talk to the Quran and say, like I've done, think about, I made this mistake. I'm a weak person. Ya Allah, through the blessings of the Quran, through the light of the Quran, Ya Allah, through the madad of the Quran, remove my weakness. Remove from me the weakness that I have. So even though we are sinners, we must still maintain a relationship with the Quran. Because it is that relationship, that friend, that will come to our aid when we need him the most. And you know what they say? A friend in need is a friend indeed. And the Quran is not like our friendship. Dunyadari friendship. एक मिनट नाल होया, 2 मिनट उधर गया, जिधर की हवा उधर चला गया. ऐसी दोस्ती जो है ना, ये हमारी दोस्ती है. लेकिन जो कुरान शरीफ है, कुरान शरीफ एक ऐसा दोस्त है कि वो कभी भी आपका साथ नहीं छोड़ेगा. कुरान शरीफ को अगर आप अपना दोस्त बना लें, अगर हम एक ऐसा रिश्ता कायम कर दें, बाकी दुनियादारी जो है, दुनिया के रिश्ते, कभी चाचा नाराज होता है, कभी पापा नाराज होता है, कभी अम्मा नाराज होती है, कभी भाई नाराज होता है, हमेशा कोई ना कोई नाराजगी चली रहती है. लेकिन जो अगर हम कुरान के साथ एक रिश्ता कायम कर दें ना, अगर हमारा रिश्ता एक कुरान के साथ मजबूत हो जाए, मजबूत मानी ये नहीं कि एक पारा, 2 पारे, 3 पारे रोजाना पढ़े, लेकिन थोड़ा सा एक सफा हो जाए, एक लाइन हो जाए, एक आयत हो जाए, लेकिन वो कायम रहे, मुसलसल रिश्ता कायम हो जाए कुरान के साथ, तो हमारे लिए एक बहुत बहुत ही बड़ा खजाना और मदद का बायस बनेगा. क्योंकि जब हमको ज़रूरत पड़ेगी तो कुरान, जिसके साथ हमने एक रिश्ता कायम कर दिया, एक दोस्ती कायम कर ली थी दुनिया में, वो हमारी मदद करने को उस वक्त आएगा जब हमारे पास कोई भी वसीला ना होगा, हमारी मदद करने को कोई भी तैयार ना होगा. कुरान शरीफ हमारी मदद करने को आएगा. The Quran will come to our aid when we are alone in the grave. In the grave there will be no one. And if we form a relationship with the Quran is going to come to help us. So we are weak people, all of us are weak people. We can wear the turbans and the fancy clothes and have the big tasbihs and all these kind of decorations. But we are weak people. But that weakness must never prevent us from being friends with the Quran. Never give up. Never ever give up. If we give up, this is the shaitan's number one weapon. You know what shaitan's number one weapon is against the believer? Hopelessness. Hope is Iman, Islam, belief. Hope is Allah. Hope is the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Hope are the Sahaba Ikram. Hope are the Ahlul Bayt. Hopelessness is the way and the path of shaitan. Never be hopeless. Never give up. And the Quran is our connection and our conversation. The Quran is our connection. Yeah? The Quran is our direct line with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like I mentioned last session, that Allah will give to the reciter of the Quran more than the one who asks Allah directly. Allah will give the reciter of the Quran more than that which is given to the one who actually asks Allah. So when we wish for something, when we have a desire, when we wish to have a connection or conversation with Allah, open the Quran and just look at it. Don't even read it. If you're finding it difficult to read, don't even read it. Just look at the words. Continue to look at the words. And one day those words will fly off the page and directly into your eyes. One day those words will fly directly off the page and straight away, without even us knowing, penetrate into the depth of our hearts, inshallah. This is the miracle of the Holy Quran. And the last person the Prophet ﷺ talked about in this particular order is the munafiq, the hypocrite, or the fajir, the open sinner who does not read the Quran. He's like the colocynth plant. The colocynth plant is like It's like a herb, I think. Like a herb, yes. It's used in medicine and herbal medicines. So it doesn't have a smell. So it's like, it doesn't smell of anything. You smell it, it's like the date. It doesn't have a smell. But you put it in your mouth, and then you say, Toba, Toba, Toba. Koda is so bitter. असल में ऐसा कोड़ा नहीं होना हज़ूर अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम फरमाने हैं कि जरा मुनाफिक है या फाजिर है और जरा मुनाफिक को फाजिर कुरान नहीं पढ़ना कुरान की तिलावत नहीं करना उसकी मिसाल इस तरह कोड़े नहीं कोड़ा जरा है ना उसमें बदबू ना होनी ना खुशबू होनी तो इन्हें पक्की मारो तो क्या होना सही कोड़ा होना पानी पीना पड़ना तो मुनाफिक ने जरी मिसाल है और इस तरह and then the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam talks about in the next section of this particular narration about two people or one person who sits with two groups of people. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that you're sitting with good people, your company with good people, its example is like going to a perfume seller, a sahib al-misk, so a perfume shop. That even if you might not buy anything, but still the fragrance of that shop or the fragrance of that environment will affect you and you will smell nice. And being in bad company, being with people who commit bad actions, it is like going to the sahib al-kir, the blacksmith. The blacksmith has the furnace. He has a furnace, there's smoke, and it's a smelly environment. There's a lot of soot there, So the Prophet ﷺ is saying, even though you might not be harmed by the sparks, but the smoke will still attach itself to your clothes. See the two references here. The khushbu, the beautiful smell of the perfume seller, will attach itself to you even though you might not buy anything. That is good company, being in good company. So if you're in good company, then you don't have to be taking part, you don't have to be talking, you don't have to be reading. Just sitting amongst good people, they will leave an impression on you. Whether you realize it or not, it will benefit you. So even if you're buying anything from that company, meaning if you're not taking anything directly on board, then the fragrance, because every gathering has a fragrance. Every gathering has a fragrance, a smell. And when the fragrance is beautiful, the angels come. So when good company has good smell, and bad company has an ugly smell. And bad company attracts shaitan. So the Prophet ﷺ here is warning us about sitting with two types of people. Now, good company, I remember when we were in school, high school. So what used to happen in high school is, especially I think around about year 10, people, a lot of the guys used to start smoking at that time, yeah? They would go behind the music block or behind where no one can see them, and they would smoke, right? Or they would smoke on their way home. But before they go home, they would walk through the town center, yeah? And they would walk through the town center, and they would go through Boots, right? And Boots, the chemist, it had like a perfume section with lots of testers, right? So what they would do is they would I'm not talking about myself, okay? I didn't do this, but my friends, what they used to do is they used to go to the Boots chemist and then just go get the testers, which were very expensive for us. When we were kids, a bottle costing 40, 50 quid, we couldn't afford that. So if someone had like Armani or something like that on, we would say, wow, how did you manage to get that? And they would tell us, they went to Boots and we just used the testers. So the guys, what they used to do is they would go to Boots and get, free testers, and they would go home smelling nice and beautiful, and the parents, wouldn't know these guys have just had a couple of cigarettes. Let's just say cigarettes for now, okay? Won't mention anything else. So this perfume that you pick up from people of good company, bad company has the opposite effect. It doesn't. You might think, we might think that we're holy or we're good and that the company doesn't affect us. It does affect us. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-rajulu ala dini khalili." That a man is upon the deen, meaning the path. Deen means path. So, the path of what? Khalilihi. A man is on the path of his friends. فَلْيَنْظُرْ. The Prophet said, فَلْيَنْظُرْ. فَلْيَنْظُرْ. Look. Look. فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلْ. All of you look and be mindful. Open your eyes. Who you take as your friends. And friendship is usually the reason why many people go down the path of darkness, because of their friends. It's not that anyone puts a gun to their head. It's the company has an effect over you over time. No one that I know who has spent time in bad company over a long period of time has managed to stay safe from it. It is near impossible. Sit with people who remind you of Allah. People who remind you of goodness, who make you happy, who make you feel light. Sitting in bad company, the minimum that happens, the minimum damage that takes place, that if you sit with bad people, then the zawq, the taste of worship is no longer with you. It's difficult. So basically, to make it simple, if you sit with bad people, it will be very difficult to pray. Praying would be like, it's like you got huge stones tied to your feet. Very difficult to get up. Very difficult to go to the bathroom to do wudu. Very difficult to stand up and read namaz. It becomes so heavy to pray, and this is the minimum effect of bad company. That the taste and the lightness of worship is removed. The taste and lightness of worship is no longer there. So namaz becomes harder. Reading Qur'an becomes harder. Doing something good becomes harder. Our grand sheikhs, our masters, they were very, very, very meticulous regarding their students' development. So they would look at the student, and they would pay so much attention to the student's development, even when the students were not with them. So Mahbuba Ilahi, rahmatullah alayhi, Khwaja Nizamuddin is one of the great, great personalities, and one of the reasons why our forefathers became Muslim. Our forefathers in the Indian subcontinent became Muslims from Hinduism due to the efforts of Khwaja Nizamuddin Awliya, also known as Mahbuba Ilahi, and other great shuyukh. So he wrote a letter to one of his students that, tell me, who do you sit with, who do you converse with on a regular basis? Because he was checking what kind of company he was keeping. One student wrote to Imam Rabbani, Mujaddid al-Fisani, rahmatullah, our grand master, our grand sheikh. Our student wrote to him asking about wazaif and asking about how to improve his spiritual life. Imam Rabbani wrote back and he said that, we have heard that you have started sitting with people of dunya. People of dunya. Just sitting with people of dunya. We do much more than that. Our grand master, Qibla Hazrat Sahib rahmatullah alayhi, when he would appoint an imam, so he would appoint an imam in a mosque, and if the mosque was in the vicinity of a market, he would give clear, very, very strong instructions that none of the imams, none of the teachers could go and sit in the market. They could not go and converse with the shopkeepers. Because, why? Because these people understand that being in that company, which apparently might not be haram, but just being with people of dunya will take away your focus from something which you should be focusing on. And in this case, on your students, on teaching, on fulfilling your duties. And when we're sitting with people and just talking, certain conversations, they have an effect on the heart. Just as bad company, there is two types of bad company. One is bad company with people who are sinful, who do bad things. Some people say, I don't judge me. I don't judge. No, I'm not the judging. Who am I to judge Imam Sahib? You can't judge people, can you? This is not about judgment. This is about saving yourself. So you're not judging that person or he's going to go to hell. You're not condemning anyone. But using your own intellect, what we are doing is that we're just saying, hang on a minute, this person is doing this. I'll just mind my own business. So we're not judging that person. What we are saying, what we are doing is trying to safeguard ourselves, protect ourselves. How he is with Allah, how she is with Allah, that is between them and Allah. But on the face of it, they're not doing something good, and maybe it will be of harm to me. And there is another group of bad people. So these are not sinners. So these are people who are apparently look very good. They got the beards, and they got the turbans, and they got the big chullas, the big, sobs, and kurte and everything. But yet their company is evil, and their company is harmful. How can that be? These people have beards, and they're teaching you about namaz, and teaching you about fasting. But you have to be mindful of that company. These are people who have bad aqidah. Their beliefs are corrupt. You have to be mindful of how much time you spend with them. And do not debate with them. We must not debate. Debating in our tradition, it is makruh for the great scholars. And our shuyukh have said, to the extent that for the normal person, they have declared it haram. But you're talking about something you don't know. And you'll end up losing your iman. Debates, what is achieved by debates? Like the modern debates we see, online, we see so many debates, so many come on YouTube. What benefit? All the debates that I have seen, and all the recent debates that I have seen, and I look at the comments underneath. Now, in any of those comments, very rarely you will find, out of the hundreds and thousands of comments that are there, very rarely there will be anyone who will say, wow, this debate has saved my iman, or this debate is very beneficial. Most of the comments in debates nowadays is like a football game. Who won? Like I've seen comments where there's been debates between two different people, and people have literally said on this debate, on the comment section, I don't know what they're talking about, but who won? Like I don't know what they're talking about, but who won? Who's the winner? Imam Ghazali said, if you're going to debate like this, then debate is haram upon you. Imam Ghazali, they put conditions down, who's one of our great imams. He puts a condition down that if you're debating with someone, then make dua before the debate, that the person that you're debating against is the one who wins the debate. How? That the truth is manifest, the truth comes out from his mouth, not yours. And only then you can enter a debate. And another condition, the debate must take place inside a closed room, away from the public. Some of these debates that I have seen, like some of the terms that these sheikhs are using in the public domain, I don't even know what these terms mean. Because they're discussing concepts that are they're like specialist fields, and end up confusing other people. So debates are very dangerous. We have to be mindful, and this is another type of bad company. Sitting amongst normal people, we have like a Uncle G who's a taxi driver, a brother there who's an IT professional, one guy's a doctor, one guy's a barrister, and we're talking about the intricate masail, the really, really difficult, problems and questions of religion, which ulama, which scholars have debated for 1,000 years. And we're going to solve, sitting in our front room over a cup of tea and samosas, we're going to solve that. Yeah? No, we're going to end up damaging our heart. And this is what debates do now. Debates end up creating doubt within the heart. Now some people might, if you want to learn about something, open a book, read a book. Our shuyukh, they say, our teacher, he says, that if you debate, the minimum damage of debate is that the poison of the debate stays in your heart for 40 days. And if you're debating with anyone, arguing with anyone about any matter of deen or religion, the germs of that debate will stay with you for 40 days. And the germs of that debate are much, 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 much more dangerous than coronavirus. They are so dangerous. The coronavirus, it attacks your lungs. It attacks your body. Okay? Bad company, or talking about issues, especially of aqidah, that you don't understand, and going into things which are not zururiyat deen, which are not the necessities of the deen, they attack and they poison the soul. The coronavirus attacks the physical body, but inshallah, you are shaheed. But if you are going into a company or you're going into debates which you do not have the prerequisite knowledge, then you are putting yourself in a dangerous position that the soul will be infected. And once the soul is infected, once the heart is infected with doubt, then it is difficult to remove. And then very invasive procedures are required to remove that doubt, to remove that poison that has entered the heart. So to conclude, the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us to become people, believers who engage with the Qur'an. And he's teaching us to be people who are spending time with good company. Be with good people. Be with people who remind you of Allah. Don't try to stay away from people who will, the Prophet ﷺ is teaching us that to stay away from people who will take you away from Allah, who will leave a bad fragrance on your clothes. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive me. May He bless every one of you out there. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to shower His mercy upon us and keep us under His divine protection. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect our communities who are suffering right now and open our masajid quickly so that we're able to meet once more. Amin Allah tawfiq wa astaghfirullah azim.